Howdy do, y'all. This is John, and today we are talking about Superman and a movie out in theaters right now. And in Superman, it deals with the Kryptonian Kal-El, aka Clark Kent, who becomes the superhero called Superman. And in this film, he's been Superman for a few years, and now Lex Luthor, this billionaire businessman, has devised this very confusing plot to take down Superman. And a bunch of other stuff happens, and we've got a movie. First and foremost, before I get into like a rant about why I don't like on this movie, I am going to talk about what I did like. And first and foremost, could someone get a doctor to check on Nicholas Hoult? Because his back is probably broken from carrying this entire movie. I am dead serious. Nicholas Hoult, his portrayal of Lex Luthor, is probably the best thing about the entire movie. One of the few things that this movie truly does better than, what Zack Snyder was doing with, his Superman, Batman and Justice League movies, a better Lex Luthor, because everything else felt like a step down significantly. Now, there are some other actors who undeniably, were giving it their all. Some of them, overacted. Some of them not so much. And others were not given the proper material. Case in point, Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. Lois Lane is easily the most important figure to Superman other than his, parents. The Lois Lane in this movie is not portrayed as Lois Lane. She hardly resembles Lois Lane other than her name. She's a reporter. This Lois Lane is some kind of girl boss stereotype, and not all girl bosses are bad. Look at Wonder Woman, she's awesome, but that's just not fitting for Lois Lane. On top of that, it's just a stereotype. It's not a well-rounded character with a lot of strength and stuff. A cliche, if you will. No disrespect to Rachel Brosnahan. I could tell she was trying her best, but her character was not well written. Then we get to Superman. David Cornsweet as Superman. This is the only thing that I can recall watching that he was in. And I really hope that, he is good in other things, in other movies and such. And I'm hoping the performance he gave in this movie was just simply a case of bad direction. David was very over the top and very cheesy, especially when he's, being Superman. It hardly really felt like, a person who just embodies strength or anything like that. And what doesn't really help is the fact that he acts like a spoiled teenage child a lot. Yeah, if you're one of those people who thought that, Superman and Man of Steel crying one time because he was forced to kill someone was stupid and idiotic, just wait till you see this. Because he whines and complains about everything. He acts like a spoiled child, not Superman, not Clark Kent. How's the story? Well, what can I say? The story is like a mishmash of things that have been in other Superman movies, from things like Superman the movie, to Superman 2, to Superman Returns, to Man of Steel. And heck, there's even a moment kind of reminiscent of that terrible fourth Superman movie, The Quest for Peace. I'm not kidding, they did that. It's a whole mishmash of different things that you've seen in other Superman movies, with the exception of the one element from Quest for Peace. The originals just did it a lot better. I will say this, the action sequences were actually really good. You know, those were actually very strong. It did feel like Zack Snyder's style a little bit. Which I'm not going to complain about that too much. But yeah, the action sequences, they were fine. They're not the best of the year, but I enjoyed those. Now, as far as the special effects go, they were kind of a mixed bag, really. There are some special effects that actually look very good. However, there was also a lot that you're just in there going, they needed more time. One of which is in the trailer, and it don't look that much better in the final film, with Superman punching a guy and his teeth go flying out. And before I go, and do my final rating, there's one more thing, without getting into any spoilers. One of the few problems I have with Man of Steel is the whole Jonathan Kent death situation, where he dies by a tornado instead of a heart attack. And this is where I'm getting into this point. The Jonathan Kent situation in this movie makes that look smart. So guys, at the end of the day, Superman, really the one thing carrying this movie is Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor. That is pretty much it. The story is just a mishmash of other Superman movies that were done a lot better in those original movies. Most of the characters don't really feel like the actual comic book characters that they're adaptations of. Special effects were mixed bag. I will admit the action sequences, those were fine. But at the end of the day, this felt like a bad James Gunn movie, not a Superman movie. I'm going to give Superman a 2. Not off to a good start, new DC Cinematic Universe. Not off to a good start. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Please look forward to more videos real soon. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Please also subscribe if you're new to the channel. And as always, please remember, the Podetsky will return.